Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today I just wanted to expand and do a quick short video expanding on the opinion that I presented in the last video about the Barracuda V2, saying that there will kind of never be another balisong like the Prysma Pro. There has never been something this is all my opinion again, but there has never been something since the Prysma Pro came out that has come even close to providing the same feel in the hand, value, quality, build quality, all of that stuff that the Prysma Pro did. And I think, as we know now, the Prysma Pro ended up being this impossible value proposition because Machine-Wise had to increase their prices on their newer stuff to get that same level of value out of it. And even then, I think it can be speculated that the Sasori wasn't really worth it for them, considering that they haven't released it again since. It's been a very long time since we've seen a drop of normal trainer Sasoris, and I think that's very telling for both the market, but also where Machine-Wise's value lies in their product. But the thing is, man, there will never be something like the Prysma Pro. The Prysma Pro offered a very unique package that was massively undervalued in a way that I just don't think we'll see from almost every perspective. 70-75 aluminum, incredible feel in the hand, amazing tolerances, really, really good service, warranty system, all of that stuff from a reputable maker who we actually know, who lives in the US or in North America, that flips incredibly, that is available often. It was the perfect package. And the stream that I did after they announced the Prysma Pro was going away, where I had to update my recommendation document, which I highly recommend all of you check out in the description. A lot of the questions that I get in these comments are answered in the recommendation document, so I really wish more people knew that that resource was down there. But the first stream that I did after the Prysma Pro was discontinued, because I try to keep that recommendation document fresh with things that aren't discontinued, with things that you can actually buy right now. It was tough, realizing that I had to replace the Prysma Pro, which kind of dominated a lot of the things in the sub, even $300 range. I still had the Prysma Pro listed as my value pick for the sub $300 range. Replacing it was just going to be very difficult. And to this day, I don't have my go-to recommendation for that price point. Like I mentioned in the last video, I have my go-to recommendation for sub 100, the Orion or the Cheese. I have my recommendation for sub 300, the Superfly or the Kraken or something like that. I don't for sub 200, partially because the Prysma Pro was so perfect to me that nothing could ever replace it, but also partially because I solidly believe we have not and we will not see a value proposition like this in the hobby, at least for a very, very long time. The situation of all of the influx of interest in the hobby from the past 4 years allowed a situation where it was worth it to produce the Prysma Pro, but that quickly became not the case. And this is speculation. I don't know this to be true, but that's genuinely what I believe is the case for the Prysma Pro. So many people were buying it because so many people were into the hobby and so many people had extra money to spend. That is no longer the case, made it less worth it for them to build this thing, and inherently less worth it to build something like the Sasori because we haven't seen it since. So I wanted to take you over kind of my top picks in the price range to kind of give you an update on what I think is good in that price range and tell you why I think they don't live up to the Prysma Pro, which is inherently a bit of a negative video, but I really do think that the Prysma Pro is something special, truly, truly special, and I want to honor it. It won Balisong of the Year for a reason. So my initial recommendations coming after the Prysma Pro ended its reign on that sub $200 price point was the Nibali stuff, the Vault Pro and the Nibali's Wing. I was always a little bit more partial to the Nibali's Wing because it was a little bit more round and a little bit more neutral to me. But to this day, while I really do think it flips good It's always a little bit more difficult for me to recommend some nebulous overseas maker over a North American maker who's very active in the community. I know Dalen, I know Martine, I've talked to them at multiple points. I've had very good conversations with them, and they are genuinely really cool people who I want to support. So recommending a MachineWise product was a no-brainer. I don't have that similar faith in Nibali's. And while I really do appreciate that they have been becoming more transparent over the past few weeks, releasing things like interviews with their lead designers or their CEO, kind of talking about what goes on behind the scenes over there. Ultimately, it is still a overseas company that I will never be able to have that same conversation with. I haven't talked to the CEO personally, as far as I know. Haven't met them in person, haven't had a video call with them or anything. And I'm not disparaging them. I'm not discrediting them. I still think what Nibali's is doing is amazing. I'm just trying to paint the picture that it's a little bit harder for me to recommend products like that than it was the Prysma Pro, because it was so easy to trust and put your faith in someone like Dalen and his team. Regardless, the Wing is amazing. The Vault Pro is amazing. I think the Vault Pro, honestly, to my current flipping preferences, flips a little bit better, but that kind of changes every time they come up. Regardless, they're still very, very good. I would still recommend them to people. They're just not my perfect flipper like the Prysma Pro. The Totori would have replaced the Prysma Pro. Sorry, the Sasori would have replaced the Prysma Pro for me, but unfortunately, they raised the price up to $220. And it just doesn't fit in that same price range, which I still do think it's an amazing value. I still do think it's an amazing flipper. Flips great, great feel in the hand, but it just isn't in that price range that I'm looking for. And once you do get up to that sub $300 range, I think it's a lot easier to make the case for various other trainers. Maybe not over the Sasori, but kind of in competition with them. I think basically MachineWise's aluminum trainers went from hands down the best value on the market to a very good value, but one that you could still argue something else over. My biggest hope was for the Baikal. The Baikal, genuinely one of my favorite flippers in the price range. I really liked it when it came out. There were a few issues, but ultimately since then I've kind of moved past them. You can even see that it's kind of beaten because it's one of the ones that I actually wanted to take outside, because it was both just durable, fun to flip, but it also kind of was a little bit more public friendly because it doesn't look like a knife. It has this weird blade profile, and I also just wasn't scared of losing it back in the day just because it was readily available. The biggest problem, though, it seems like Thomas's stuff is just kind of a one and done deal, like what LDY has been doing lately, because since then we haven't seen, as far as I'm aware, the Baikal reemerge on Amazon. And I think he actually made a post either today or yesterday when I'm filming this that the default is now also out of production and he'll be moving on to a different design, which is really disappointing. It's really difficult to recommend things when you know that they're going to be one-stop shops. Because the thing is, these videos last for years. I'm not even patting myself on the back. I still get comments on the original I Spent a Week with the Vault video of people telling me there's better in the price range. Like, guys, I get it. The Orion exists. It didn't back then. You're watching the first ever I Spent a Week with video that I ever made 2.5 years ago. I don't even live that place anymore. So it's just really difficult to recommend things that you know are going to go out of production. And I think that's where Thomas, besides being an extremely nebulous creator who we don't really know anything about where he's manufacturing or what he's doing, even less than Nibali's, I think just that the fact that they are designs that will leave eventually is a little bit difficult. And finally, we have my best contender for favorite sub $200 Balisong, the BB Barfly Barracuda. I think I praised this thing enough in the 18-minute video that I posted the other day about it. But just to catch you all up to speed, it flips really well. It is a really solid value. It's a ridiculously solid value, especially for 120, which it was selling for when I recorded that video. But the reason it doesn't beat the Prysma Pro to me is just the feel in the hand and the thickness of the handles. The thing is, when you're making a recommendation document, you're not really thinking about your personal preference with personality. As much as I love the Firefly, I would never recommend the Firefly to a large group of people because it's big, chunky, and the chances are that people won't enjoy that. So you kind of have to balance what you personally believe is fun and good with something that you think is going to appeal to a wide range or a wide audience. And that's why the Prysma Pro was so good. It had that personality that I loved, but I still believed that it could appeal to a wide audience. And obviously it did because it won Ballad Song of the Year. While the Barracuda is certainly in contention for it this year, and I think it has maybe a good chance of winning, the fact that it is still thicker than most other standard things on the market makes it a little bit less mass appealable. And I think BB Barfly has kind of always lost that mass appeal because of the fun way that they flip, the personality that they have. And again, I am not disparaging BB Barfly here. I love their stuff, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult to appeal to that mass wide audience and recommend to that mass wide audience. Having said that, the feel in the hand is also just not there, simply because it's a bead blast, and I don't like bead blasts. Prysma Pro had kind of this satin texture that I really, really liked. So when you pick up the two, you can kind of feel that the Prysma Pro has that more expensive feel to it, which maybe isn't even the fault of the BB Barfly Barracuda V2. That's just personal preference right there, but mostly it's just the thick handles. Even with that though, like I mentioned in the last video, I think the Barracuda is going to end up being my sub 200 king, the thing that replaces the Prysma Pro for me. Because I definitely think it's better than the Vault Pro. I definitely think it's better than the Wing, in my opinion, again. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see when I actually go through and update my recommendation document now that I have the Barracuda. Which, in case you're wondering what's taking so long on that, it's literally just that I haven't had the time to stream recently, and I usually like to do those updates on stream because chat brings up really good points that I don't think about when I'm just sitting alone in my room typing up a new recommendation document. But speaking of being alone in my room, I'm going to go be alone in my room and go to bed. So thank you all for watching. Little bit of a weird one today, but I really did want to expand on that and also just sing the praises of the Prysma Pro one more time because I've been flipping it a lot lately. I would say the Prysma Pro and the Seraph are the only two Ballad songs I've been consistently picking up lately out of my collection, considering how much I've been flipping. And they just remain my favorite things ever. I am so happy that I picked the Prysma Pro up. I am so honored that people considered me worth enough to gift the Seraph. Thanks, Ted. Yeah, they're really the main two things I've been flipping, and I kind of just wanted to make a video talking about why I still think that they're so good. I really don't think any Ballad song has come close to offering what the Prysma Pro has in its complete package. The closest thing being the Sasori. But again, the problem with recommending the Sasori for a sub $200 price range is that it doesn't even qualify in that price range, so we'll see. But on that note, because this video is already long enough anyway, why not make it a little longer? I'm really interested to see how the Bally Awards are going to go this year. We're finally getting to the point where I actually have to start like putting out the forms and everything to make sure we have the votes in by the time I can start making them. I really don't know how it's going to go. In the past, you know, you had the Prysma Pro, which was so dominant, and you had things like the Kraken, which were so dominant, or the whatever, I don't even know. And it was like, okay, I have like a good idea of what the top at least 4 are going to be for people to choose from. This year, I have no idea. You know, like the sub $100 range, you know, you got the Orion, you got the Cheese. I shouldn't even be speculating because I don't want to influence the results in any way. or influence the nominations in any way or whatever, however we decide to do it. I don't know if the Sasori has it locked down like the Prysma and the Prysma Pro did. I think this might be the first year that we see Ballad Song of the Year taken home by someone other than Machine Wise, which is crazy to say. Like, I don't like to say that because, you know, I still do love Machine Wise to this day, but even having said that, I don't know what the Ballad Song of the Year would be. It's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see where you guys take the Bally Awards this year. But I'm done rambling. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.